All right, everyone, we are back at it with episode two of the Gold Star Goaltending Coaches Interview Series. I have with me here today Josh Simpson. Josh has played a ton of hockey all around the Fredericton area and throughout New Brunswick, and he's the current goaltending coach of the Oromocto High School Blues hockey team. And very, very thankful to have him with us here today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the high school league, his playing career, as well as how he got into coaching, and obviously the Oromocto team. So, Josh, give us kind of like a rundown. So, where do you play your minor hockey out of?
For sure. Well, thanks for having me, Jeff. Happy to help out and be part of this today. So yeah, I started playing minor hockey actually in Oromocto. So it came full circle with being back there coaching a little bit this year, or the last few years. And
Mhm.
then after what would have been Adam at the time, I went into town in Fredericton and started to play AAA there. Played AAA minor hockey through Pee Wee and Bantam, which now U13 and 15. And then once I got up into the U18, I went and played for FHS at Fredericton High School in the high school league there.
Mhm.
Had an awesome experience. Loved the league and just being part of kind of the school culture and playing for my school and things like that.
Mhm.
And then ended up playing through my grade 12 there. And then after that, I went played a year of junior B in town when they had the Fredericton Caps. That folded that year. We hosted the Don Johnson Cup, and then that was kind of our final year. And then after that, I went and played out in Tri County, which would be a junior C league there. So had a fun run there right up until my 20 year. And then after that, I think I had a year or so off. That would have been kind of a COVID year. So I had a natural break there. And then after that is when I started into the senior hockey league here in New Brunswick, the Bosa Shore League. So I started in what was the Doketown Lumberjacks. So I was happy to be a part of that and kind of the first season there.
Mhm.
Played, I think I came on halfway through, right before Christmas when I played there. Played that year out, and then one more year with Doketown. And then once that program shifted, I had another year that what ended up being just a year of coaching because you and I started, I guess, with the Tri County team, and that league unfortunately couldn't run, but we started to play that year in the senior Southern League, and then as you know that didn't work out. So then last year I made a bit of a comeback and joined on with the Fredericton Express.
Yeah, awesome. Like, yeah, that's quite the laundry list of teams all the way up. And no, it's really cool that you made, the full circle playing in the high school league and now, you're coaching as a part of it.
Yeah, and I get a little bit of heat from time to time that I played with FHS and then jumped ship over to OHS. But kind of the backstory behind that, I guess, is that I've been working out of the high school in Oromocto for the last 4 or 5 years, and it got to a point where I just, I was there, kind of a cool way to get involved with the students in a different capacity. Knew the league, had played in the league, of course, a few years prior, and yeah, I was happy to be invited to help out with coaching staff at OHS.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've seen actually like a lot of success like throughout your career as well. If I remember correctly, like the Tri-County junior team, you guys were like a powerhouse in that league. You guys did very, very well when you were there.
Yeah, we had one year. I want to say my first year there, where we were, I would say mid of the pack, right where we should have been probably, and
Mhm.
then ended up kind of pulling through, and we won provincials that year, so that was pretty neat to be a part of. Went to Atlantics and PEI. Maybe had a little bit too much fun while we were on the island and didn't pull off the win over there, but a ton of fun. And then the following year, we had a ton of guys come back and added a few guys as well, and we ended up going on a undefeated season of
Wow.
I think we ended up it was 38-0. We won, so we won the league of course in like provincials, and then Atlantics that year were also in New Brunswick in Woodstock. and we ended up pulling off quite a game there in overtime to win the Atlantics that year. So that was
Wow.
fun.
38, no, that's ridiculous to go for a perfect season.
Yeah, and often it sounds like if people bring that up that weren't part of it or know about it, they're joking saying we must have smoked every team and must have been awful teams and things like that. But looking back, I mean, we had a lot of close games. Like it was a miracle that we actually pulled off the undefeated season. Like I remember a couple games were like 7 round shootouts, a couple overtime games, and then of course I think it was 3-2 in the finals of the Atlantic. So we certainly we're playing with our luck there, but we luckily pulled it off. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Especially like, having a team see that much success, kind of like your mental state going into every game, like you're prepared for every game. And like you said, like so many that you just pulled off in overtime, like that's mentally daunting going into a game like that's in the back of your head. Like we cannot mess this up.
Yeah, well, yeah, it got to a point eventually where it was, it went from kind of a cool little streak to all of a sudden it was like we're kind of doing something cool here, but then you start to feel a pressure that's not there that you kind of create because of this wild thing that you could do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just kind of kept our heads down and kept moving and probably got a little bit lucky along the way and it worked out. But I had a ton of fun playing there. I mean, when you're at that level, there's still some pretty good hockey players, but it's a lot of guys that are working, playing or going to university that just want to play some good hockey, but also have some fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I made a ton of friends there. A lot of my family's from out that way in Farrington Junction, so it was really cool to kind of be a part of uh, be a part of something special in my hometown area.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's awesome for sure. And then yeah, played in Doketown and now yeah, playing together again in Tri County and then Express now as well.
yeah,
And like that's shameless plug. That league is so fast. Like, oh
yeah.
man, there's so many skilled players there. Like the skill is unreal. Anyone that hasn't got out a chance to watch those hockey games, like that is fast hockey.
Yeah, like I absolutely have zero pride or shame in admitting that there's certainly a lot of players in that league that I would put well above my pay grade, but I'm just happy to be a part of it, happy to have the opportunity to get some games and be a part of what we had this year with the crowd in the initial season. Yeah, it was something really cool to be a part of, and can't say enough about what they've done with that league over the last few years, like comparing to just a few years ago when I was playing in Doketown. It's just insane to believe where it's came, especially in Fredericton. Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely nothing but great things to say about the league and how Fredericton's been running everything with, and the crowd support has been fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, I'll jump into the high school league here
yeah,
now. So how long have you been coaching with OHS?
yeah. So I've been with OHS. This year was my third season.
Hmm.
And then before that, I actually did coach with FHS for a little stint of
Okay.
a couple years, really just as kind of a practice coach after I played there. So that was while I was going through university. And then I did have a couple years off of coaching. And then, as I mentioned, was working at the school and then started three seasons ago with the same crew. So
Hmm.
I had played with a couple of the guys and knew the head coach that was coming back, and then they knew that I was working in the area and had some experience in the high school league and was happy to be a part of that. Yeah.
Awesome. And you guys have had success. Did you what success in the league? Was it back to back wins? Was it? To win?
So so we didn't win this year, and I guess
Oh,
for
okay.
people that are no, but we did have a great run. But for people that follow the high school league or have followed for years,
Hmm.
they know that in Oromocto, it's just a substantially smaller school compared to some of the other larger high schools like FHS Leo Hayes. So naturally, your crop of guys to pick from is a little bit smaller. And then, of course, you do have some guys that will leave and go play U18 major in town, and things like that. So unfortunately, there's been historically a few rough years for OHS in the last decade. But I will say the last few years we had a great crop of guys. Big group of grade 10s when I first started, and then a core group of grade 11s last year, and then of course this year was kind of our big year, and we did make a great run at it. Just things didn't work out our way in the end, but we had a great regular season.
Mhm.
Ended up losing to a good Clement Cormier team in the earlier round of playoffs. But yeah, a great season. We won a couple of tournaments this year. Pulled off the Leo Hayes tournament around Christmas time, and that's always a huge tournament in the province and within the high school league. A lot of the top teams are there, and that was really kind of a sign that we had a pretty special group this year. So yeah, so it was an unfortunate end of the year, a little bit abrupt and early, I think, for the guys, especially with a grade 12 core, but a lot to be proud of as well.
Yeah, no, certainly, especially to have that success as a smaller school, and yeah, no, I knew like you had won the tournaments there, had seen success,
Yeah,
so that was kind of on the top of my head there.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, especially like Oromocto, it I don't know what the population would be, but it's probably comparatively, let's say half the size of some of the other schools that you guys are competing against.
for sure. Yep. And to provide a little bit of background on the league here in New Brunswick. So with the AAA format for a number of years, I don't know how far it would date back, but certainly a decade ago and more when I was involved in the program at FHS, it was always a 14 league. So it would be just Evanston, so CDJ, and then FHS, OHS, Leo Hayes. So that was it. So we would play the same teams all year back and forth. I mean, great for rivals, especially um, amongst like the teams in the area, Leo Hayes, FHS, and OHS. Um, but then this year they did expand to what they called a super league. So there was 9 teams, and that expanded into Moncton, St. John, and then of course included Emmonston. So we had a really competitive league this year. So I think that also speaks volumes to like our success to do well in that super league.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely. So 9 teams in the league, and but yeah, to be able to hold your own, especially I'm assuming like the St. John and Monk schools are probably also a large school, being able to pick from so many players, right? So no, it's no, fantastic to hear that the team has done well, uh,
yeah,
considering they are smaller, and so they would be like this basically like this super league, elite league that it is now, and then there's probably like some lower divisions for the smaller high schools. Is that how
yeah.
that?
So there would be a AA league, and typically it is based off of population. So you would see teams, and we would cross over in tournaments with some of these teams. Like some of them would have some fantastic players that could certainly play, at a higher level or within the AAA teams for sure. But they just are at a smaller school. So like we would cross over with teams such as like Woodstock High or some of the St. John teams that were at smaller schools. They would be within a AA league, and then I believe it would tier off through it. There's I think A leagues as well and things like that.
Okay, cool. So this
Yep,
AAA Super League, so it kind of would sit somewhere between like U18 AA and U18 AAA. It'd be somewhere kind of in
for
that.
sure. Yeah, for sure. And I would say historically, I mean, I don't want to speak broadly for all the teams and all across the province, but I know for sure, like in our area here around like FHS, OHS, Leo Hayes, like I mean, I think for your players that have aspirations of playing, university, uh, junior A, of course, looking to be drafted the Q and things like that. Those players are certainly looking at the U18 AAA team. But I would say, there's every year you see a ton of players that are playing at the high school level that have either been there already and came back, or could potentially play there if they really wanted that to seek that route.
Mhm.
Um, which is positive. I see it from the high school lens because
Oh yeah.
you do get a lot of good talent, right? You get a lot of talent. Um, and get to see that showcase at the high school level where you get, some larger crowds and
Mhm.
kids take a lot of pride in having their school behind them and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I wasn't trying to say it like that the league's like, not as strong, but um like I know there's so many kids that, that I work with, like they're so excited to, get to the high school league because they're like, I want to play for my team. Like it's something that, everyone around, especially Fredericton with having Leo Hayes, Oromocto, and FHS here, like
Yeah.
there's so much focus on, playing for those teams someday. So it's like everyone's, so excited to play there. There's so much recognition through the area for those teams, and it's really fantastic to see that there's so much support for those teams.
Yeah. For sure. Yep. No, it is cool, and there's a lot of history there. Like it's funny to talk to, my parents and their friends. They remember going to high school, back when they're at OHS and watching these games and the big rivalries and the stories and the parties and all that stuff, right? It's like some of the traditions live on, and it's just yeah, it's cool to see that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Now, actually, there's going to be I guess you'll see. So sorry, I should start off by saying, so your high school team, typically, is it a lot of, grade 10s, grade 11s, grade 12s, or is it just depend year to year, just kind of like the crop of students that are coming through?
Yeah, I mean, it really ultimately depends. Especially, I would say it alters a lot more in Oromocto, where you have a smaller crop. So what I find I see more often in my shorter time in Oromocto and when I played against them is you would have periods where, you naturally just have less players to pick from.
Mhm.
But then you'll also have these years where you have a core group of kids who played up through like double A in Armacto and just stuck together and you have a huge core of talent that instead of going into town or playing U18 AAA or something, they just want to stick together and play high school.
Mhm.
So it really depends on the year. Like as I mentioned, we had a big grade 12 core that's graduating. So I can't really speak to what the team next year will look like, but I can only imagine much younger.
Yeah.
And you look at a team like FHS, typically they have an incredible history, um, super successful team, in the history of the league.
Mhm.
And then this year they really struggled, but they were a younger team, and naturally you see that sometimes where there's just a younger squad that needs another year of development or some new players. So it really alters year to year. But I would say in my like thinking back to even when I was playing and then also coaching, typically you're trying to build, it would be considered like a varsity level team. So you look at it as any of your other sports where you're typically building off of your grade 12 guys, uh, then some 11s, and then often it's fewer grade 10s just for the adjustment to that level coming out of U15. But yeah, it ultimately depends on the year and what's going on with that yeah, that class.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, totally makes sense, especially yeah, with Oromocto, you can only pull so many kids. Since we'll talk goalies here. So
Yeah.
have you had the kind of the same goalie core for the last couple of years that you've been there, or like did you have like your goalies for like 10, 11, now they're on to 12, or are they going to be returning next year?
Yeah, so we had a bit of a shift. So I had my first year we had a grade uh, 11 and a grade 12.
Mhm.
And then the next year I had that grade 11 back and we had another grade 11. So they were both grade 12s. So then they both moved on. So then this year we naturally had two more completely new guys. So I've got to work with, I think, five different goalies in the 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And so then this year we had a grade 12 and a grade 11. So one I'm imagining will come back unless he has other plans to try out for other teams and things like that. But yeah, so I've had the opportunity to work with quite a few different goalies and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's certainly it's nice to, meet so many new goalies and, kind of give back and teach kind of like the next generation, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and now for what's going to be kind of interesting here is there's the new U16 program actually coming to Fredericton now. So um, you might see in the through the high school teams, you might have a shift to some of the older players now because there's probably going to the high school league's probably going to lose a lot of the those 10th graders to go play for the U16 team that's going to be based out of Fredericton here now. So you might see through the high school league, you might have a few more, grade 11, grade 12 goalies if you've got, a couple grade 10s that are going to be moving to that U16 team that's going to be affected next season.
for sure. Yeah, no, I'm excited for that to kind of see what that looks like for development. I think it's a positive thing for development, but it will certainly be interesting to see how that trickles down and impacts the high school level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. You'll lose a couple of those, those stronger grade 10s that might not have been quite at the U18 AAA level yet, but would have been
Yep,
applicable for the high school league. So yeah, it'll be really interesting seeing how this season boils out for development for that league.
for sure.
And speaking of goalie development, so were you part of the evaluation process for the goalies the last few years, like try?
Yes, it happened. Yep. So I would typically attend tryouts. I haven't as much. I've been more on like a spectator role as opposed to like running separate goalie sessions. So I'll go on the bench for scrimmages, things like that. Sit in the crowd, but I've certainly been a part of that process. Yeah,
Okay. And so what when you're watching your goalies for evaluations and stuff, what kind of what are you looking for? What kind of stands out to you in terms of oh, I really like how this goalie plays versus, someone else.
for sure. Yep. And I mean, it goes without saying that at this level, whether it be high school, like any AAA level,
Mhm.
typically all the goalies that are in competition for the two spots are able to, generally save the puck, do all the your basic goalie 101. They've already covered it. They've been doing it for years.
Mhm.
So when you get to, yeah, the high school level, U18, AAA level, yeah, you're focusing a lot on the little things that will separate them from the other goalies, right? What stands out. So for me as a coach, it's a lot of little things, but also things that I think a lot of goalies can easily develop, focus on, or work on. So it's little things like who are the goalies that are getting out playing the puck?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because stopping the puck is 101, but what are the additional things that you're going to add to a team? So it's not only the confidence of that, but where's the skill and just knowing hockey behind those moves, right? Um, it's for me, and this might be a little bit biased, but as a smaller goalie myself who wasn't taking advantage of size growing up, I'm looking at battle. Who's battling for that last save? Who's in a practice and not really trying or not really diving for that rebound? Like I want to see that, right? It just shows a lot about character, your level of compete, things like that. They speak a lot of volumes, even if it is just practice or just a scrimmage. I want to see, goalie at that level who is eager enough to separate themselves by, showing that effort. Um, and it's you can really tell as well in a game when you watch the goalies that are it's the skating, the edge work, the strength of the skating at that level, where like who's the goalie that's not taking himself out of position, who's arriving first to the puck, arriving before the shot, getting square. Because as a kid, or even just as like if you're somebody who's not a goalie, you see all the highlight reel saves on the internet, on TSN highlights of a goalie who is ultimately, as we know, out of position or recovering from a fantastic play. Um, and then as you get older, as you're around the game a lot more, and then as a goalie, you learn to see it's the guys that are making the saves look easy. They're just there and they're making the right save, the easy save, and there's no rebound. It's not flashy, it doesn't look great, it's not going to make the highlight, but that's the stuff that you're looking for because that's a goalie that's in control. right? So it's a lot of those little things I would say that that goalies can work on at that age and develop, but they do separate you from the others.
No, that's yeah, a couple of fantastic examples there. It's not necessarily just the technical side of things, but the mental and learning the game and battling for those last final saves. And realistically, like I'm trying to think of the quote, but there's some great quotes where it's like for it to be a goalie, you're trying to make it look as simple as possible. Like you said, if you're diving all over the net, it means you're out of position. But if you have 25 shots in the game and you take 15 of them square in the chest, it's like it's not flashy, but you did everything that you needed to do to be in position and square and ready for that shot. Again, not flashy, but you did exactly what you needed to do, and you don't need to be flashy.
Yeah, 100%, right? And I get it. It's like you're not going to maybe get the kudos from the young fans and you're not going to maybe get the highlight reel, but yeah, people that know hockey and know goaltending, it's those are the saves that you want to be making all night.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So obviously for those goalies, for goalies that are, looking to make the jump from, let's say, depending on the league, either be, let's say U15 AAA or U15 AA coming up into the high school league, or they played like U18 AA and move into the high school league. Um, would you say anything that they could work on to make those, smaller adjustments in terms of the game speed increasing? I mean, like you said, obviously just learning the game, but if there's anything else off the top of your head.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, there's a lot of little skills that you can develop. Just in terms of like when you're on the ice, it's practicing playing the puck. It's practicing drills to just get square that extra inch. It's practicing your footwork, edge work, building strength in the gym to, a lot of goaltending, as you know, is core and legs. So it's, if you're preparing off the ice, you're gonna show up and compete a little bit better on the ice. It's simple little stuff. Um, I also think another thing that's really important is, as you mentioned, like the mental component of it.
Mhm.
And that's stuff that comes down to, I think, also just goalies like personality off ice, like stuff like that. It's things you can work on, but a lot of goaltending is resilience and mental toughness and knowing how to bounce back, right? So I think as you play hockey, particularly goalie, as I got older, I realized how much of it is transferable to my everyday life, and just your attitude.
Mhm.
So that's another thing for young goalies that are going into tryouts, wanting to stand out. Coaches are going to notice when you're the kid that's, beating himself up, slamming the stick, just showing poor attitude or like low resiliency. Um, everybody's going to get scored on. It's okay. That's fine, right? But it's how you can bounce back from that, make the next save. If you don't make that one, how do you make the next one?
Right.
So it's those little things like that. So I do think that goalies can work on that stuff even off the ice, even over the off season, right? There's a lot of ways that we can work on those little things and they're transferable skills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When you get there's so much limited time in terms of what you can practice on ice, and there's so many things you can do off the ice to develop and help make those changes that you'll actually see on the ice actively. There's going to be like you said, off ice workouts, hand-eye drills, juggling, mental toughness. There's so much you can do to prepare. And so when you get into your tryouts, you get into those, game situations, you're ready to go. Not necessarily because you've been, on the ice all summer long in training camps, but there's so much you can do off ice to help you prepare.
Right. And I know it's a comment that's made by athletes, I think, across the board, particularly from professional athletes, but it's encouraged to play other sports, try other things, take a little bit of time off, have some fun. But
Mhm.
I think, yeah, if you're playing baseball over the summer, there's a ton of transferable skills there as an athlete that you can transfer directly to being a goalie, right? You strike out, how are you going to respond to that? right? So it's taking those and recognizing that you're developing skills that are going to directly transfer into your game as a goalie.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like baseball, there's your hand-eye coordination. You're getting a little bit of cardio in. Like if you're into soccer, like how much leg strength are you going to build running up and down a soccer field all night long? I know a lot of goalies that played like pickleball, racquetball, anything with like a ton of agility work to it. Like it doesn't necessarily all need to be on the ice, but like you said, there's so many transferable skills that
Yeah, 100%.
help, definitely going to help. Um, and no, thank you so much for this for to speak about the high school league and your work with Oromocto. I know that there's going to be quite a few goalies that are going to very much enjoy watching this, getting this from the goalie coach's perspective. Just because they're so excited to play in the high school league, either be next season or a couple years down the road. So um, thank you so much for doing this, Josh. Really appreciate it. And I I will see you around the rink.
Absolutely. No, my pleasure, and best of luck this summer with all the goalie coaching. It looks like you got a busy summer ahead of you, but I've been loving what I'm seeing on social media.
Yeah, yeah, we'll be busy, that's for sure. But no, it'll be a lot of fun for the goalies and for myself as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Awesome. Thank you.